brief summary of kind of things that we've done. First of all, I want to, why we exist. In 2007, we had a shooting take place at Juneteenth, which is the second largest annual African cultural event in this country, where normally there's about 65, 70,000 people attending over the weekend. It had been reduced to about 25,000 over the weekend, simply because of the number of fights that they were having. Well, they had this shooting in 2007, and I get a call from then Lieutenant Nichols, and saying, Pastor, we can't have that out here. You know, that innocent people are at risk. You know, we knew the gang members that were involved, Persian and D-Block were involved in that shooting, and so he said we have to do something about it. So we not only went and did some intervention in that gang warfare, but we also worked with the individual that did the shooting and got him to dismantle D-Block. But the following year, we met with law enforcement down in C District under Lieutenant Nichols' urging, and he called all of us. 100 Mighty Men, Neighborhood Crusaders, Stop the Violence Coalition, Back to Basics, all of us. Mad Dads, the fathers, and we met down there, and we began to strategically plan of how to keep Juneteenth safe. And the year when Juneteenth kicked off the next year, you know, we were putting, some groups we didn't even allow them in, all right, because we had some very rigid rules set up. They couldn't even come in. But we had 50 shirts dedicated, just community people that wanted to see us have this event to be a safe event. And we shut down all that fighting activity, and they chased us, we had to chase them around, all right, playing them games, you know, but we were up to the task. So that the following year, we had one fight, and that took place outside of the event. The subsequent year, we had one little altercation on the inside where even one of the officers got hit trying to break it up. You know, see, officers are committed. Right? And so, but since that time, you know, it has been a real safe event. It elevated up to 65 and 70,000. You know, they have 125 vendors. Vendors had dropped down to only 30. 40 vendors, so it brought back, and the Juneteenth Committee honored us and recognized that it is our very presence that rejuvenated this particular event, this very cultural event for the city of Buffalo. But that started us off, and we began to respond every time there was a gathering, a large gathering. We didn't care if it was the Italian festival, the Puerto Rican Day Festival, or any other type of festival. We were there. They called us there. We wanted to make sure that the event was a safe event. And then we started going to parties. You know, when they show up at parties, we started making sure that those were safe events. While we were trying to work with these groups to get them to reconcile some of their differences. And so, finally, in 2012, we found out that it was starting to happen so often, because what was being escalated and multiplied was the number of youth gangs. And the youth gangs in the city of Buffalo over the last 15 years jumped from 17 traditional, original gangs that the city of Buffalo always had to 118 in 2018. That's how many gangs that have been identified. And Mike Kessler is back there, our gang task master, Ray, can verify. 118 young people. Yeah, T-Wop. Pretty Boy Click, and all these kind of names, 2-4, right, 700 Club, all these names, big money, that had no money, but they called it big money. So, but they were gangs in that they had access to guns, right? We're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? And so it meant that we had to be more intentional, and it could not be done on a volunteer basis. You can't volunteer that kind of problem away. So we appealed to the mayor, and we appealed to the Oshai Foundation, which had already been our traditional supporter, that listen, we need to kind of set up a system where we can do this and be dedicated toward doing it, and not have to worry about how we're gonna eat. And we got funding. The mayor came to the table and, you know, stepped out there and said, okay, he said, Pastor, I don't think you can do this, but, because they didn't think we could stay together long enough. And not only did we stay together, we worked very hard together. And I want to recognize those groups that came with us. It was Mad Dads of Greater Buffalo, and Pastor Simmons is working in his new position. He's not here. The Buffalo Fathers, please stand. Elder Lane. Stop the Violence Coalition. The Buffalo United Front, George Johnson, he could not make it here today, and we had No More Tears also as a part of our group, and we expanded the group since then to include GYC Ministry. All right. And even most valuable parent, because of Alonda Mellors, where she's at. Right. Anything I ever did or get to work on a anti-violence initiative, Kalana has been by my side. She's always been there. And so these groups have pledged themselves to bring people to the table, community people that are concerned with the well-being and welfare of particularly our youth, but of anyone that does violence in this community. And some of the things that we have done, like in 2019, we had some of the lowest homicide rating. I know the governor just announced how low it is now, but in 2019 it was the lowest because we had a strong relationship with community policing, a strong relationship with the Department of Probation, a strong relationship with law enforcement, a strong relationship with the district attorney's office, because they got it. They understood that if we're going to be successful in this fight against crime, then we have to work with community-based organizations. We have to work with that. They all understand that science, and that science has benefited this community. The fact that we have this great collaboration working together. And so now, you all that have supported us, and we have M&T Bank supported us, right? And Independent Health always has been at the table supporting us. The Oshai Foundation, I mentioned that. John Williams from the Williams Foundation has always been there to support this work, and others, that I may not have named. Mike Hall, who supports our youth program. Listen, our youth are, such delicate pieces that we have to cradle and cuddle, right? Because they need attention, they need care, right? And so,
I was never interrupted. It wasn't very important. Trucks are going back, they're not getting it back, there's some guys are blocking them from getting it back. There's some white guys, just right here at the end, and the back will be moved.
Yeah. So if you parked on the end of the building, please move that. They have transport trucks that are going back there, and sometimes somebody has set up an excuse to that. And that was Billy Webster's from Mothers Against Violence, all right? Also part of this. And so the thing, you want me to move your car, Doctor?
Sorry.
You want me to move your car? So the other work that we've done, it wasn't just about that. When the pandemic hit, the school had the task of getting 3,000 lunches for 3,000 homes, right? That the lunch program went on. Just because the schools closed, the federal lunch program went on. They had to get those lunches out to those families, right? And some families could make it to the distribution sites, and some couldn't. 14204, 14215, those zip codes could not make it. We brought 20 peacemakers, and every single day we made sure that those families got those lunches. We partnered with the Buffalo Public Schools to make sure. We partnered with NFTA. They even brought us vans over to haul us around where we carrying all those lunches and stuff to make sure that those students were fed. And the unfortunate catastrophe of 514, when 514 happened, the people that responded quickly the most was peacemakers. Peacemakers were right on the scene. We had people helping people out the back door of Tops as this stuff was going on. Matter of fact, this young man is right here now, Pastor Tim Newkirk, right? opening the door, to making sure people are getting out safe, right? Because they were scared to go out the front, they were scared to walk through, the building at the time it was happening. And they were out there consoling those individuals that were coming out, right? And then every single day, Pat, Elder Lane and the Peacemaker were across the street providing food to the community every single day while tops were closed. But not just food. I had every town for gun safety. They sent us so much bare aspirin, soap, washing stuff to clean with. They sent us pallets of that stuff down here, and we gave it out to the community freely. Wegmans and Tops gave us so much stuff to make sure. At the time, Wegmans and Tops, they were working on the same page and not competitors to each other. They fed us and made sure that we got stuff down. The African heritage, culture heritage helped us get vegetables out there. Don Ellick and M&T Bank paid them to be able to bring us those fresh vegetables to get it out there in the community. But we showed up every day to make sure that this community was safe. When the blizzard took place just recently, we didn't stop. You know, everybody that could move was on the move, making sure that those families that were trapped in those cold houses with no utility, made sure that they drove them to safer places that had other family members. So we were out there doing that because we respond to the needs of the community. Whatever it is, we're gonna be out there. And the purpose of celebrating this 10th anniversary is we wanna send out to the world, to the community, to say, as long as it's needed in this community, we ideally would like to be here. So again, we certainly want to special thanks to all of our funders and all of our supporters. We want to hear, this is the young man here, Tim Kennedy. And Tim Kennedy when he ran for office, he came in this office before he even got on the hill. He says to me, Pastor, what can I do when I get to office? What can I do? I said, bring the SNUG program back here. And he did that. He advocated for that until they got it back into the budget, that the SNUG program would come and land in Buffalo. I said, and when you bring it back to Buffalo, make sure it land here in this building. And he did that. Buffalo. And the SNUG